Hi everyone, I'm Paige Abbott with Health Upwardly Mobile. Last week I talked about the basics of addiction. This week I wanted to talk about the basics of recovery. At HUM, we use a holistic model of recovery. And what this means is that we encourage people to look after and do different in the areas of physical health, emotional health, relational health, and spiritual health. What this can look like for you in each of these categories is unique and individually variable. For some people with physical health, it involves more focus on nutrition, regular eating, balanced eating. For others, it might be more about just getting their body moving, more about hydration, rest, medical care. And for most people, all of those things will be part of their recovery at some point. It's just an individual question of when, where, and how you start to bring these pieces of different action in. In the psychological or emotional health category, essentially what this refers to is actually dealing with the reality of your feelings. So taking time to process and release. This may mean reflection, journaling, talking things out, specific therapeutic work, group work. There's many different options for the ways that people go inward, but that's what dealing with our psychological and emotional health involves, is taking literal time to look after and be with ourselves and deal with those feelings. And by deal, I mean acknowledge that they're there and work on releasing them in some fashion. With relationships, this is a category where there's a lot of work that goes into it, and that really will shift over time. Usually relationships, when people first enter recovery, the relational recovery action is more about just starting to detach from the obvious trigger people, typically using buddies or people that you know your brain just does not react well with. Over time, relational recovery work becomes more subtle, and people may start to develop more subtle boundaries around specific relationships, what they engage with people around, what they don't. There's so many different directions that this can go. Spiritual health is about connection. So addiction robs people of connection. It's a very isolating disease. So recovery involves reconnecting, whether that's with nature, other people, themselves, spirituality, religion. There's so many different options in that category as well. And what that looks like for everybody is individually variable. There's no right or wrong here, but it is important to bring it in with that focus on connection. And the last thing that I would say is that it's very important for recovery that these holistic actions happen in the context of the pursuit of restraint or abstinence. So if people are continuing to use some mood-altering substances while pursuing recovery, it can be a bit counterproductive, because what you're doing is feeding that addiction reward circuitry, but then hoping that other action will counteract that. So what commonly comes up is that people will move away from one substance, like for instance alcohol, but then they want to keep another substance, for instance marijuana, in the mix. And they notice that their recovery actions that they're taking may not feel as beneficial or productive for them. And the reason for this is that the addiction circuitry is still being kept alive and well. So it is important that you really look at your relationship and your engagement with substances and behaviors to make sure that you're trying to move in that direction of the pursuit of restraint in the context of holistic recovery. There's so much to explore in this realm. It's exciting, it's overwhelming, it's a big thing. Just go one step at a time, bit by bit. Small action is what will lead to sustainable change. I wish you all the best in that journey of recovery, whatever that looks like for you. Bye for now.